My name is Joan. Standing in front of the locked doors of the venue, looking at the banner that read "Congratulations, Henry Thompson. 40 years of service" hanging behind the glass, I felt a mix of pain and determination. The banner, which I had carefully designed and approved 2 weeks ago, now seemed like a cruel reminder of my exclusion from this celebration that I had worked so hard to organize. It all started when my father, Henry Thompson, a well-respected police officer with 40 years of service, announced his retirement. My mother, Grace Thompson, a socialite who loved to be in the spotlight, immediately said we needed a grand celebration worthy of his legacy. My sister, Lily Thompson, a 25-year-old who was used to getting her way, promised to help. But as soon as she picked the best photo of herself for the slideshow, she disappeared. I, on the other hand, was the reliable one in the family. I worked as a senior event compliance coordinator for a large law firm in New York City. My job was to ensure that important events ran smoothly, handling contracts, vendors, deposits, and all the nitty-gritty details. So, when the family decided to throw this retirement party, the responsibility naturally fell on me. For 4 long months, I dedicated myself to making this event perfect. I booked the most prestigious ballroom in the city, negotiated with the catering company for the best deal and discounts, managed the shared event account, approved the guest list, and took care of every single detail that no one else wanted to touch. 3 days before the celebration, as I was reviewing the final seating chart, my phone lit up with a message from my mother. "You're not wanted at Dad's celebration." The vote was unanimous. Before I could even process what I was reading, Lily sent a laughing emoji. That single yellow face felt like a knife in my heart, laughing at the fact that I had been erased from the event I had built from the ground up. But I didn't lose my cool. I knew they had forgotten one crucial detail: every important signature on the contracts was mine. I opened my laptop, pulled up the catering contract, and placed my hand on the trackpad. I decided it was time to take action. I first downloaded the full account history and saved every contribution. My mother had put in $1,200, my father had added $1,800, and Lily had contributed nothing but demands. I had personally covered the early deposits, the tasting fee, and the rush charges. I then emailed the caterer. "Due to a change in family authorization, I'm removing myself as a responsible party for the Thompson retirement celebration. Please require direct payment and signed confirmation from the remaining hosts before service." The caterer replied within minutes, asking if everything was okay. I almost laughed because no one in my family had ever asked me that. I told her I was no longer attending the event and wouldn't be financially responsible for it. She said they needed payment by noon the next day. Next, I called the venue manager, Mr. Johnson. He knew me professionally. "Joan, your name is on the guarantee. Are you canceling?" I looked at the seating chart my mother had sent me, with my name crossed out in red. "I'm not canceling the room. I'm withdrawing my personal guarantee. The remaining hosts can continue if they provide payments and take responsibility." Mr. Johnson paused. "If they don't, we can't open the venue." I simply said, "They don't." I also sent an email from the event inbox, stating that due to an internal host change, all event confirmations were pending final authorization and that people should contact Grace or Lily for further questions. I copied my mother and sister. Immediately, the messages started pouring in. "What are you doing? Call me now." "You're being insane," Lily texted. I remembered her laughing emoji and replied, "No, Lily, I'm being removed, exactly like you wanted." I didn't block them, I wanted proof of everything. The next morning, the chaos began. By 8:15, my mother had sent 13 messages. By 9:40, Lily had called 9 times. At 10:07, my father finally texted, "Joan, this has gone far enough. Your mother says there's a problem with the venue." His words stung. It was never about my feelings, just about the problem they had created. My cousin, Ryan, called around noon. He was outside my building with coffee. "Before you get mad, I brought this," he said. I let him in. Ryan had always been the one who understood me. He said, "They can't cut you out of something you legally built." I knew he was right. That afternoon, my father called again. His voice was tight. "Joan, what's going on?" I said, "You voted me out of your celebration." He was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Your mother thought it would be easier." I asked, "And what do you say?" He breathed into the phone. "I didn't want a fight." That hurt more than if he had yelled. He had spent 40 years protecting and serving the community, but when it came to his own daughter, he chose silence. I said, "You didn't want to fight, so you let me be sacrificed." He told me not to talk like that and that it was his retirement celebration. I replied, "That's why I spent 4 months building it." He then said, "Then be bigger than this." That was the family motto whenever I was wronged. But I was done being the bigger person. I said, "I've been bigger for years. Today, I'm being honest," and hung up. That night, my uncle, George, called. Unlike the others, he didn't start with demands. He said, "I heard there was a vote." Apparently, it was unanimous. He cursed under his breath. I wasn't asked because they knew I'd say no. What kind of family votes out the person paying the bills? For the first time in 2 days, I felt a glimmer of hope because someone had finally named the truth. On the day of the celebration, things started to fall apart. By 10 a.m. The caterer had not received payment. By 11:30, the venue sent my mother and sister a final notice. Without signed responsibility and clear payment, access would not be permitted. Around 1 p.m., the family group chat exploded. Lily wrote, "Does anyone know why the venue says they need authorization?" My mother wrote, "Joan, enough. Your father has guests coming." My father said nothing. Then my Uncle George entered the chat. "Why are you asking Joan to rescue an event you banned her from attending?" For a few minutes, no one replied. Lily then wrote, "Stay out of it." Uncle George answered, "No, you turned a retirement party into a family punishment." Ryan texted me privately. "Guests are already posting. People are asking if the party is still happening." I opened Facebook and saw a cousin's comment. "Is the time changed? The venue wants confirmation." A retired police officer was standing outside the locked doors, and people were wondering what was going on. The consequences were now public. Lily left a voice message. "Joan, you selfish psycho. Dad is humiliated. Mom is crying. Just call the venue and fix it. You can be mad later." I saved it. My mother left a message too. "Honey, this is not the time to prove a point. Come down here. We'll discuss everything after." She only called me honey when she needed something. At 2:47 p.m. Ryan sent me a photo. The front steps of the venue were crowded. My mother stood there with one hand over her mouth, Lily was pacing with her phone, and my father stood near the locked doors, his shoulders slumped. Ryan wrote, "They're asking for you." I knew it was time to face them. I wrapped my coat and drove to the venue. At every red light, part of me wanted to turn around, not because I was afraid, but because I knew that once I arrived, there was no going back. When I arrived, Lily saw me and rushed over. "Finally, go tell them. This was a misunderstanding." I looked at her and said, "This is exactly what you wanted." My mother came next, her eyes wet and makeup running. "Joan, please. People are watching." I said, "They were watching when you built a public celebration on private cruelty. You only care now that it's falling apart." My father walked over slowly. "Joan, open the door." I held up my phone. "I can't. I've withdrawn my guarantee. You need to sign responsibility and pay the outstanding balance." My mother whispered, "We don't have that kind of money available today." I said, "I know. That's why you used my name." Lily threw her hands up. "You're enjoying this?" I turned to her. "No, enjoying it was sending a laughing emoji after helping remove me from the celebration. This is accountability." My father lowered his voice. "What do you want?" I said, "I want to say the truth out loud." My mother stiffened. "Joan, don't do this here." I said, "You chose this. You chose the vote, the message, and to write that I wasn't wanted." My father looked away and then said quietly, "We should not have excluded you. I should not have stayed silent." I opened my banking app in front of them and transferred back the exact verified contributions that belonged to my mother and father. I kept my own money because this was never about stealing from them. I showed them the confirmation. "Your money is returned. My money stays with me. My name stays off every contract. If you want this event, you can pay for it yourselves, sign for it yourselves, and explain the delay yourselves." Lily scoffed. "So you came here to humiliate us?" I looked at the locked doors, the waiting guests, and the banner. "No, I came here so you can't lie and say that I destroyed something I was never allowed to attend." My mother cried harder. "Are we still family?" I nodded. Family is not a word you use after the door closes. Family is how you treat someone before you need them. My father's face changed. Maybe he finally understood. The venue manager, Mr. Johnson, stepped outside and explained that they could still proceed if someone took responsibility and paid the balance immediately. My father looked at my mother looked at Lily, and Lily looked at the ground. Nobody looked at me. It was the most peaceful moment of the day. In the end, they moved the celebration to a nearby restaurant. There was no slideshow, no catered dinner, and no grand entrance. Half of the guests left. My mother later posted cropped photos with a caption, "A beautiful day honoring Henry." But everyone who was there knew the truth. I went home, ordered takeout, and sat by my window as the sun went down. Around 9 p.m. My father texted, "I mentioned your name during my speech. I told them you planned most of it. I should have said it sooner." I replied, "Yes, you should have." A minute later, he wrote, "Can we talk sometime?" I didn't answer right away. I had finally learned that access to me was not automatic. The lesson I learned that day was clear: love without respect becomes labor, and family without accountability becomes a trap. You can forgive people and still stop funding their disrespect. You can love your parents and still refuse to be the emergency exit.